Hello, everybody. Welcome to another podcast. As you can see on the title up there, it's the People's Podcast. I'm here. I am the main host, Franzo, and over the course of the episodes, we will have some guests, notably Jackie and Jay. They are brothers. Hopefully, they can join me in another episode. That is, if you want to see them. Now, who am I exactly? I started this channel about 4.5 years ago as a actual account on my main email rather than my school email, and I only recorded one video at the time. If you want to go there, go ahead. It's bad. I just want to say quite a bit of it is recorded upside down. I wasn't doing that well at the time. Yeah, no. Now the second I'm going to start recording again into about a year and a half later, in August of 2022, when I started my NBA history recent. If you know about basketball and all that stuff, I love that. I'm very much a basketball fan. Considering, actually, let me see if I can show you this. You can see my backpack over there, the New York Knicks. Oh yeah, also a hockey fan, the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, I've grown quite a lot over the years, surprisingly. Better than I ever expected. Now, my political journey, on the other hand, has been one hell of a ride. Saying it's a roller coaster would be an understatement. Let's just say I went from being a whole-on near far right, close to being fascist. Luckily, I didn't go there. And as about a year ago now, a little over a year, I decided to question my own beliefs and views and, dump Trump, if you know what I'm talking about. Donald Trump. AKA Donald Trump. Bad reference. So now, over the time, I've decided to go for this book, which I've talked about on social media a few times. I don't know if I have made much note of it on here on YouTube. Probably not. Actually, while I'm at it, I can check. I probably shouldn't be right now. Anyway, back on August 2nd, actually, let's first go back to July 13th, 2024. Trump was almost assassinated, if we all remember that. On July 15th, I was more closer up north because my brother had a hockey tournament that week. And when Trump decided to pick his VP, J.D. Vance, which I was a bit iffy on, I didn't like J.D. Vance. I mildly disliked him. And, I couldn't go forward with him. So, I decided to leave him. And over that week, next 36 hours, I decided to do some more research. Notably about Project 2025, if you know. The Hellhole playbook, I'm sure as well you all have heard about Project 2025 by now. Well, it's a 928-page playbook written by the Heritage Foundation, created in 2022, which Trump still denies, even though a lot of things he's done so far are directly in it. And considering J.D. Vance has wrote the forward to it, so, let's just say it's not looking good for him. Now, that week I ended up leaving Trump. That was also the week of the RNC. I went from being a Republican to an independent, and by the end of the week, I ended up becoming a Democrat. Or, let's say, moderate Democrat at the time. Within a few days, on July 21st, I think we all know that Joe Biden had dropped out. His political career was amazing. It could have been better. Let's just say he's a centrist, not a true progressive, but of the last few presidents, he's probably the most progressive on some issues. Let's just say, over that week of the 21st, I ended up, which is a year ago now this week, which, damn, time flies. Now, over that week, I decided to do some research and looking into things, as I got into a YouTuber named Vosh, which more recently I found out that he had some big controversies. which kind of more, he radicalized me a lot more. I'm in the movement of socialism quite quickly, with only a few weeks, maybe a week or two. It took me to move to socialism from being Republican to socialist, which is quite surprising. Now, let's just say August 2nd, if I remember correctly, I had a live stream at the political debate between me, Jackie, and Jay, who, well, all three of us were more on the left wing in politics. I was by far the more left wing guy, because if this doesn't scream full like very left wing, I don't know what does. Also, speaking of which, hold on, let me grab it right here. I have it. This one, The People's History of the World. It's basically a sequel to this one right here. Both books are amazing. A People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn and A People's History of the World by Chris Harman. Y'all should be getting it and reading it. It's really amazing. Those who do not know their history are prone to repeat it. Now, on the other hand, some topics on the debate from August 2nd, which I'm going to be doing a repeat. So August 2nd, which is next Saturday as I'm recording this, I'm going to be doing another live stream. Jackie and Jay as well. So basically a 1 year anniversary and see what has changed. Now, let's just say, one notable topic that we talked about was abortion, considering I am very much pro-choice when it comes to the federal case. When it comes to the personal, I'm a bit more pro-life, considering I am very do well with young kids. Nothing in a weird way. Don't let your mind down there, you creep. I always get that way too much, and it bothers me. Like, my dream job is to be a babysitter, which is oddly unique for someone my age. I'm gonna be honest. I'm 16 already. Wow, it's been about. Okay, I'm just having a midlife crisis. Leave me alone. Anyway, now over. Maybe I'm repeating myself a bit too much. This isn't my first podcast. I did another one with the Golden Shots podcast, mainly supposed to be about basketball over a year ago. The first origins of it was back in 2023, but due to a bunch of delays and not having much time to actually execute it, it took about a year to do so. And that only lasted 4 episodes. Sadly, I wish I could have done more, but one delay of episode 5 turned into delay of the entire thing. Yeah. Then later on in the year, in November, after the election, I ended up getting a message from Jay asking if we wanted, me and Jackie and him wanted to do a podcast, in which I said, yeah, why not? We created that one called the Walking Encyclopedia Podcast. I started editing more. At that point, I finally started editing videos. I didn't really have a camera for my computer yet, until Christmas, by the way. So, this is the first podcast, technically, with me having a camera. Hopefully this one could be better than the last. I hope so. And with that one, that did the last 3 episodes. It was pretty well made for my standards. Let's say, if I remember actually, right here. Actually, I have it. Let me just do that. You can see it on my phone here. See 3 episodes in the intro at the very top. Yeah, the second episode was long, it's about 1 hour and 19 minutes roughly. Oh no, I don't want to click on it. No. This first episode got 34 views. Also, don't mind if my texts are in German. I decided to do that for myself because I'm learning German, which it's an amazing language. Mainly because of my music taste is mainly German folk music and Schlager and polka. I am very odd and very much an outlier in my generation, for my generation, I should say. Now, if we remember the election, I did election stream, which of all streams was my most popular. I don't think it's public anymore. Be right here. Should we be able to see it? There we go. It is about 1,654 views somehow. That was probably my best stream. Also the day that I realized America wasn't the best. Never really was the best country. I never truly ever said I was proud to be American. I never ever once said that. I thought I ever will. This country wasn't really founded on good ideals, considering it was founded through genocide of the indigenous people, which is talked about in here, and by Christopher Columbus, who is a murderer and this horrifying person, which here it's talked about in chapter 1, titled here in the People's History of the United States. Howardson, crediting Howardson here. Chapter 1 is called Columbus, the Indians, and Human Progress. It also talks about what actually happened with Christopher Columbus, the part of history that not many schools want to tell you about. Christopher Columbus was a horrible person. He had murdered, raped, and enslaved thousands, tens of thousands of indigenous people, more specifically of the Arawak Indians, Arawak peoples, I should say. He took advantage of their empathy, some of their really good traits, and took advantage of it. And, well, showed no mercy. Killing about up to, if I remember correctly, about 125,000 in about 3 years. If I remember correctly, 3-4 years. Which is a minimum on 2 years. I don't remember. I probably should check it. I'll make an edit. I'll edit this afterwards to make the correction if I need to. Now, on the second part, oh my. Oh my. Now, let's start with talking about modern day politics. Going on with the current world. Donald Trump and the Epstein files. I think we all can tell Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. Epstein and Donald Trump were by far close friends. There's no doubt about that. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, I remember reading one fact where Donald Trump and Epstein have more photos together than Donald Trump has with his own kids. With his own kids. Which is kind of depressing, if you say so. Remember, Donald Trump is the one who tried to overthrow democracy, claimed that the 2020 election was supposedly rigged. He's a literal pedophile, bragged about it, has so many enemies, tried to override citizenships, has so many legal 91 indictments, 34 felonies, had a legal case in the 1970s over racial segregation in his hotels, if I remember correctly. He's also by far very homophobic and transphobic, which is not the right way to go if we want human progress. On the other hand, he's also spread a bunch of conspiracy theories like flat Earth or climate change denialism. But not flat Earth. I might have been. I don't remember. He also claims that we need a border wall, which personally, no, we don't. Remember, borders are imaginary lines on a map. They don't exist in real life. I'm going to say that part out loud. Borders do not exist. They are arbitrary lines on a map. Like, if we want to get closer to world peace, we need to get rid of borders in general. We created the idea of borders, the idea of borders were drawn by colonizers, imperialism, and a bunch of egocentric pieces of crap throughout history. Christopher Columbus being one of them. I don't think he was one of the people who drew the borders per se, but he's probably had an influence on it. On the other hand, as I say, I'm very much pro-human, pro-people. That's why I have this podcast called the People's Podcast. I will mention it again. Now, okay, so I'm back. I'm sorry about that. Now, I had to figure out some topics to talk about. Sorry about that. Now, let's talk about American history, on the other hand, and why America was set up as more sort of a dictatorship. I'm recording the People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn, as I mentioned already. Chapter 5, A Kind of Revolution, on page 96. I'm going to read it from here. Forgive me for my reading voice. I'm sorry about that. I'm not the best at reading, so deal with it, alright? At the Constitutional Convention, Hamilton suggested a president and Senate chosen for life. The convention did not take his suggestion, but neither did it provide for popular elections, except in the case of the House of Representatives, where the qualifications were set by the state legislatures, which require property holding for voting in almost all the states, and excluded women, Indians, and slaves. And this part is the most crucial part here. The Constitution provided for senators to be elected by the state legislatures, for the president to be elected by electors chosen by the state legislatures, and for the Supreme Court to be appointed by the president. That part is very often, let's say, a bit concerning and, let's just say, suspicious. That part is basically, it's set for the government to be corrupt. There's really, if we want a better government, we're going to need to amend the Constitution. Amending the Constitution isn't a bad thing inherently. How you do so and what you change it to is the issue, not whether you change the Constitution or not. So my Second Amendment, I'm a bit different on this. I'd say I'll hold that part for another time. It's my issue on the two-term limit idea. I will go into that next episode, maybe, which will be interesting. Now, so back in early June 7th roughly, I created a little index, per se. I call it the Rainbow Grayness Index. Well, the whole purpose of it is to decide how far in human progress and where we are with that. The higher number, the more gray the rainbow is, and the worse it is, basically. We want a lower number. Currently, as of July 26th, we are about 82.7%, which is very dangerous. Not really good. We want to at least under 70%. An ideal level is about 35% at least, which at this rate we likely won't get to. Sadly, I may reform the whole index system. I possibly will plan on doing that. Maybe. If this gets enough attention to it, maybe I will. Maybe I might make a professional counter or something I could make about it. I'm sorry for talking, because I'm doing this complete improv, like no script, because I don't need one. Because I want to be different. I want to make this actual, raw, and unfiltered here. That's why there's going to be a lot of stutters. Yeah, I'm not the best at talking. I also need practice, because coming in the school year, I'm going to have to take care of a Unity Club, which is basically my school's GSA, or Gay Straight Alliance Club, or whatever you want to call it. We changed the name to Unity Club for the sake of moving around this. If I remember the word stigma, the stigma is around the name, the GSA, which the Unity Club name sounds so much better. It's a student-run club, I'm going to be the student leader, which I'm a bit nervous, but also a bit excited. Hopefully, as you can see, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a bit shaking. It's a bit me. Yeah. Because I'm running out of topics to talk about. I'm sorry. Okay, now I'm going to be reading a article that was just posted minutes ago by the Associated Press. So, the author here is Will Weissert. Sorry if I mispronounced it. It says President Donald Trump played golf today at his course on Scotland's coast, while protesters around the country took to the streets to decry his visit and accused United Kingdom leaders of pandering to the American. Trump and his son Eric played with the U.S. ambassador to Britain, Warren Stevens, near Turnberry, a historic course that the Trump family's company took over in 2014. A bit biased, looks like, in the sense that, okay, maybe I should reword it. Biased in the sense that Trump is, of course, is going to use a golf course that he owns. Wouldn't be surprised. Now, security was tight and protesters kept at a distance wand unseen by the group during Trump's round. He was dressed in black with a white USA cap and was spotted driving a golf cart. The president appeared to play an opening 9 holes, stop for lunch, and then head out for 9 more. By the middle of the afternoon, plainclothes security officials began leaving, suggesting Trump was done for the day. Hundreds of demonstrators gathered on the cobblestone in tree-lined street in front of the U.S. consulate about 100 miles or 160 kilometers away in Edinburgh, Scotland's capital. Speakers told the crowd that Trump was not welcome and criticized British Prime Minister Keir Starmer for striking a recent trade deal to avoid stiff U.S. tariffs on goods imported from the UK. Protests were planned in other cities as environmental activist opponents of Israel's war with Hamas in Gaza and pro-Ukraine groups loosely formed a Stop Trump coalition. Anita Bahandi, an organizer, said the protesters were kind of like a carnival of resistance. So we do have resistance against the pumpkin spice Palpatine guy. If we know. All I gotta say is, as long as keep pushing forward, make sure this guy is held accountable. Yeah, I'm gonna call him this guy, just to piss him off, because he ain't no main character. In other words, pumpkin spice Palpatine. Oh yeah, there's my cat over there. Over there somewhere. Don't worry. Now, let's continue reading. June Osborne, 52, a photographer and photo historian from Edinburgh, wore a red cloak and a white hood, recalling the Handmaid's Tale. Osborne held up a picture of Trump with resist stamped over his face. So basically, I'm stuff there. I say protesting this is peaceful protests aren't always effective. There are times where tyrannies aren't gonna necessarily respond or even take actual action for the peaceful protests. But sometimes violence can be okay, but that should be the last resort, never the first. I'll make that clear. Peaceful protest is always effective. Violence is the last resort, not the first. Remember that. Use peace, if possible, always use peace, but if need be, use violence. Never hit soft. As we all know the famous quote by, I won't say famous, but a quote by Teddy Roosevelt, or Theodore Roosevelt, who was really progressive and amazing, really good president, but slightly his only issues, I'd say, for Teddy Roosevelt were about that he loved war a bit too much. It was a bit slightly racist. That's about it. And that's the only iffy parts of him that I have with Teddy Roosevelt. Now, Teddy Roosevelt was a Republican, yes, but when he came back in 1912 and saw that the Republican Party moved to conservatism, he denounced it all and started creating his own party. He hated it. Hated conservatism all entirely. Him here out as I live in Michigan, he is very popular out here in Michigan, which I love. Teddy Roosevelt, one of the greatest presidents, I'd say. Among underrated wise, James Garfield and James Polk would be on my list, I'd say. Also, what else could I talk about? Teddy Roosevelt. In that case, hold on. James Garfield, let's talk about James Garfield. James Garfield, on the other hand, although despite being assassinated, I think we know that, he was very much in favor of the civil rights movement, or would have been 80 years prior, in favor of giving the people of color their rights, their deserved rights, 80 years earlier than we end up having and seeing in real world timeline. I'm sorry if I speak a little off. Let's just say I am doing this completely unscripted. Maybe I should have a little bit more of a script and more of an idea of what to talk about. Okay, maybe I should. Never mind. Hopefully the next episode I should have a guest so we can actually get more conversation in. Hopefully. That's my idea. Anyway, now, actually we could. Let's just get something in. Now, let me do something here. Alright. I'll cut this part out, maybe. There we go. And for the sake of it, we're gonna do Wordle. For the sake of it, I guess. To get the time going, at least for now. Unless you can find. Also, in the comments, give me some ideas how I could talk about. I would love to hear your ideas. Also, I need something to talk about as well. Now, let's start with this. I'm always start with the word daily itself. It usually works for me. Ooh. Okay, then A. So, No. P-A-N. It's nothing likely. Ooh, there's an N. N-A? Unlikely. S-A... Okay, fair. Fair. Alright, so, Yeah. So E, so W. Okay, some whole. Oh, N and a T as well. So N-A-T-A blank N. I don't think it's N-A blank like T. I think T. No. Okay, that's. Yeah. Does that count? Does end in T. So I got that right. H. H and N. Ooh. H A blank N T. No. Something A H T H N T. It's something. N A. It probably it's N A blank H T. No. It's N A H blank T. Not it. No, so E, no, M, no, ooh, H, A, and A, H, hoods, no. Okay, so, X, T, no, no hoods. H, A, maybe? Blink NT linked hadn't wait no it wasn't even deep hasn't no H-A-N-A blank N-A-H nah N-A-H-H Okay. HA top. Okay, is HA. So look at that. HA blank. It's gotta be NT. So means what letter is it? Q and Q and Quint H patent H and T haunt. Yeah, there. Okay, that was smart. Let's just say that. Alright? Now, finally we have something there. I'm gonna say let's end this here. Alright? So that was episode 1 of the People's Podcast up there. I hope you like and subscribe. Eventually, in the second episode, give me, as I mentioned, give me topics to talk about. And in episode 2, hopefully, we will have a guest. Oh, that's my plan. So, well then, we'll actually have something going. So, then, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.